What's up, guys? You're listening to another episode of Selling on Amazon with MZy&x. What can we learn about expensive cars and happiness? This is more of a mindset episode, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a really long time, and I wanted to do a podcast episode about it. And we're going to kind of talk about budgeting a little bit here. Now, disclaimer, I am not a budgeting guru or expert by any means. I've gone through various phases throughout my life where I've gone really hardcore budgeting, where I've used budgeting software tools like Mint or You Need a Budget. And then I've gone through phases where I'm kind of just YOLO and have no idea where my money is or what it's doing. It seems like every time I take a new step up in my life, I guess we could say, buying a nicer car, which we'll talk about, or a nicer house or something. Anytime I go through one of those big drastic changes or have another child, I kind of get back into okay, here's a new next step, next stage of life. Let me get my finances in order, make sure we're good here with this decision and what we're doing. And then after, we kind of get in the groove of things and I realize, okay, we're good. I get lazy with my financial budgeting on a monthly basis, I would say. But when it comes to budgeting and business, this concept of expensive cars keeps coming to mind for me. Now, I'm also probably going to eat my words of this podcast episode in a few years when we do probably buy a nice newer car. That's probably going to be kind of expensive, let's be honest. But I think that's more something that I want to do, kind of to treat my wife. Let's be honest. I know that she wants a nice SUV one day. And so I get it. It makes people happy. And again, we're going to kind of talk about the level of happiness truly here. When we talk about buying a new car, let's talk SUVs. Okay. So if I were to talk about the SUVs that my wife wants, like today, right now, if I had the money, she would be super down to drive to the, dealership and buy one of these right now. But a new SUV, guys, these days is like $90,000. Those things are not cheap. We're talking $90,000, $100,000 in a lot of instances for a new Chevy Tahoe, right? But you can also get a family car, an SUV that can get the job done, provide transportation. That's what it's for $20,000. That's a $70,000 difference there. And if you think about most car payments, first of all, most people are not going to pay $90,000 cash, right? Most people don't. They go and get it financed through either a dealership or a bank. So while the car technically is worth what the manufacturer tells you, $90,000, you're going to end up paying $130,000, $140,000 for that car because you're going to make a whole bunch of interest payments to a bank over the next 5 or 6 years. So then when you think about that difference, you're talking $130, let's say 100, well, just put it at $120,000 you spent over the course of 6 years. I think they do 6-year loans now. 6 years, you spend $120,000 on a vehicle. That after 6 years, assuming you drive it fairly consistently, is going to be worth less than half of that. It's going to be worth less than $50,000 most likely. That's a lot of wasted money. Really, when you sit back and think about it, you're dang, I'm wasting $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 when I could have bought a car, used car, for $20,000, $30,000. That honestly, 6 years from that point, you could probably still sell for $12,000, $15,000. So you might only lose $5,000 over the course of 6 years instead of losing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over the course of 6 years. It's just insane how depreciation of vehicles can work out sometimes. But why do we buy the nice new car, the nice new SUV, right? The new features? Because we tell ourselves that it makes us happy, right? We tell ourselves, I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel Gucci. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be nice, right? And let's be honest, there's truth to that. For anyone that's bought a new car, even if you buy a new used car, I've only ever bought used cars, but whenever I got a new used car that's new to me, or it's an upgrade from my previous used car, I'm like, sweet, this is nice. It looks cool. It's more comfortable than my previous version of a vehicle. Maybe it's got some nicer features, seat warmers, other things. And yeah, it's nice. But I think we could all agree that the happiness level of getting a nice new car wears off pretty quick. Now, it's not to say that the seat warmers stop being nice to have. They're definitely always nice to have. But as far as that pure sense of happiness and joy, that fades. I got an F-150 new to me, 2019, last summer. When I first test drove it, I was like, oh, this is nice. Big step up from my Toyota Corolla, right? I was like, I feel like a man now. My big F-150, leather seats, Lariat. It was nice. But I would definitely tell you right now, guys, when I get in my F-150 to go drive somewhere, I don't feel happy at all. I mean, I do not feel that same sense of joy and exhilaration. Oh my gosh, this is so nice. It's not there at all. To me, it's just a vehicle now. Is it nice? Yeah, it's nice. But I'm not like, ooh, I'm so excited to get my F-150 today, like you are when you first get a brand new one. It wears off, and it wears off pretty dang fast when you think about it. So really the question here, guys, is why do we do it? Like, is it worth it to spend $120,000 when we're talking interest payments and everything on a vehicle, knowing deep down that it's like the increased level of a joy long term, right? Once the honeymoon phase wears off, is it worth an extra $100,000? When we think like, where could we have better put that money to use that actually will provide happiness and joy? So really what I'm getting at here is, you spend $120,000 on a new SUV and you spend that over 6 years. Or you spend $20,000 on an SUV, that's a 2015 Chevy Tahoe, but you spend that over, or maybe you end up spending 30, right, with some interest over 6 years. The difference in the $100,000 that you spend over 6 years and the increased happiness you think you're getting by buying a new Chevy Tahoe instead of one that's 10 years old. What if you were to put that to something like a business? Like, what if instead of spending $100,000, that's literally what you're paying the bank over 6 years. Instead of spending $100,000 to a bank for 6 years, what if you took that $100,000 and actually put it into a business for yourself? Let's talk about the happiness that could bring. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat entrepreneurship as just being like a cakewalk and being easy. Absolutely. It's tough. There's trials, there's challenges. I've been fully self-employed for over 3 years now. It's stressful. It's hard, even though, things I would say are pretty good for me and my family. It's still tough. Like, it's still tough to run your own businesses and deal with the day-to-day challenges that come with it. But when I compare those challenges to having a job, like somewhere that you don't like going to, you can't compare. Now that is a happiness that doesn't wear off. That is a happiness that doesn't wear off. And I can fully attest to that because I literally am living proof of that. I am living that life. I have been in the life of driving to a job, commuting every day, working for a boss, doing work that I didn't really love doing, made a really nice paycheck, honestly. But in my heart I didn't love it. And if I think about my happiness of my life at that stage, 5 years I did that versus the last 3 years of being fully self-employed, it doesn't even compare. And I would even say, guys, my current self-employment, right, entrepreneurship, running my own businesses is much more difficult than my job. My job, I was good at it. I crunched numbers in Microsoft Excel. I worked on websites and stuff but I went to my job, I did my thing, and then I went home and I forgot about it. And I didn't even think about it the rest of the day. Guys, when you're a full-time entrepreneur and this is your life, it's very hard to just turn off. It's very hard, especially when you work from home. Like I'm here at home in my office. So like, it's very hard for my brain not to 24/7, 365 be thinking about business, my businesses. How can I grow? What can I do? What do I need to get done? So I'm working 2-3 times as more mentally. It's mentally much more difficult and challenging, but that far outweighs like the weight of like the dread of like Monday morning, right? For people who have a 9 to 5 that you don't enjoy, you love the weekends, you work for the weekends. Oh my gosh, it's Friday. Thank goodness I can finally like not go to work today. But then Sunday night rolls around. It's time to like, I got to set my alarm and get back for another week of work, another week of going to see people I don't want to see, talking to people I don't want to talk to. That dread, guys, for the rest of your life, that sucks. That really sucks. And the good thing again about running your own business is I don't have that. It's hard. Like what I do is very difficult. I know it sometimes looks easy from the surface, but it's very challenging to do what I do and what we do. But I wake up every day pumped, man. And I take weekends off. I don't really work Saturday and Sunday. But every Monday, I'm stoked. I haven't had a Monday in 3 years where I'm like, oh crap, Monday, I got to get back to work. In fact, this is the complete opposite. It's like, heck yeah, it's Monday. I'm ready to get after it this week. We're going to grow the biz because the sky's the limit. Like there's no one telling me like, oh, you're getting to get paid $90,000, $100,000 regardless of how much mental effort and energy you put into this. It's like, no, if I put more effort, more energy, and I crack a code and find the new angle and whatever, my income could significantly increase. So that's motivating and exciting to help you guys, help my business, see growth, change lives. Like there's so much more fulfillment in it. And so again, I'm stoked every single day to get up and get after it and work. And my wife even gets mad at me sometimes because again, like it's hard for me to turn off and I'll be like working in the evening or at night on a walk. I'm answering a message or something. And she's like, are you going to take a break? And I'm like, I know I need to, I should, but like, I'm fired up about this. I mean, I've been going for 3 years and I feel just as energized as ever. And that's not to say there's not down periods and up periods. Everyone has stages of burnout and whatnot, but it's just a much, much better consistent level of happiness. A consistent level of happiness that again, like spending that on an expensive car, that will wear off. That happiness will wear off. Whereas this happiness, this joy, this fulfillment, this doesn't wear off. This is my life. This is a daily thing. I get a daily dose of this energy, this drive, this passion because I decided to go after it and start my own business. So that's kind of like my challenge my challenge for you, I guess, is I'm not saying like, oh, you're dumb for buying a nice car and not starting your own business. No, like I get it. But it's just like, I feel like sometimes we need to stop and think about where we're putting our money and what is our end goal with it. And if your end goal truly to buying a really expensive car is for happiness, I think that's not a smart decision, honestly. That's just me personally. I think there's better things. If it's like, I think there's like a quote out there that's something like, I'll cry in my Ferrari. It's like, I personally, like, I'd much rather be super stoked in my Toyota Corolla to drive to work than sit in traffic in my Ferrari, dreading my job that I have to do for the next 30, 40 years. Now I get too, when we say like, okay, you could spend $100,000 on a SUV or you could spend that on a business. Okay, well, like, what about the people who don't have that, right? Because I know there's a lot of people listening who are like, well, Andy, this is not even a thing for me. They're like, or they're on the same page where they're like, yeah, dude, I'd never waste $120,000 on an SUV. I'm totally fine to drive a 10-year-old Chevy Tahoe. So for you guys, for those people, and again, I'm not trying to say like one's better than the other, but it's just like some people might not have 100. That's like not even in the budget. Another thing too, when you talk about finances, again, I'm not a financial guru. I'm not going to pretend to be what's his face, that old guy who gives a lot of advice, has a big podcast that totally spaces. But when it comes to like borrowing money, because that's what we're doing when we're buying a nice car or a car for most people, right? We're financing it. We're borrowing money from a bank. There's things that we borrow money for. We borrow money to buy a house. At least I do. We borrow money to buy cars. Most people do. After that, guys, there's not a lot of things in life that really we should be borrowing money for unless it goes up in value. A very, very good, wise financial motto to live by is do not borrow money to buy things unless they go up in value. Now, again, cars is one of those things where we would probably be a lot better off. Most people, right, who are in debt and struggling financially, would be a lot better off if we stopped borrowing money for things that don't go up in value. A home, for most of history has shown to go up in value over time. So a home, absolutely. Borrowing money for a home can be a good idea. I'm not going to go into a full financial debate on that topic, but I would like to think that for most people, that's a pretty solid option. After that, guys, there's really not that much in life that like we spend money on from a day to, like, we're talking food, groceries, things, objects, enjoyment, luxury. Like, there's not many things that go up in value. I mean, you could say like, you can invest in certain types of things, right? Baseball cards or whatever, but we're talking like common use type of things that you might be tempted to purchase. But what about a business? Is it okay to borrow money to buy a business or invest into a business, to start a business? That's another really good question, right? Because again, there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, Andy, I don't have $100,000 to buy a nice SUV, but I also don't have $100,000 to invest in a business. Well, is borrowing money, and it doesn't have to be $100,000 by the way, but like, is borrowing money, getting a loan to start a business, a good move potentially? Well, I'm here to say it's absolutely a good move if it works out, right? Like if your business is successful and it takes off and it does well and it makes you money and you can quit your job, yeah, absolutely. It can be worth it for you. But with that, there does come some risk, right? There's some risk. And there's risk with buying homes too. There's risks, home ownership, things, crap happens, real estate markets. Like you never really know how everything's going to play out perfectly with your home and the size of the home you buy or build or whatever. I think something though that to me stands out a lot, and I actually just did an Instagram video about this. I just posted an Instagram video recently about this. If you truly want to be successful at a high level in business, especially as your own business owner, like your entrepreneur, like, hey, I'm building my own business, whatever, you have to be able to take risks. One of the hardest lessons I've learned being my own boss, entrepreneur over the last 3 years, you have to be willing and able to take risks. If you cannot mentally, really, right? Mentally, emotionally, take risks with your business, you'll never get to that level of success that I think we all are really striving for. Like replace that full-time income, reach wealth. Let's just define it as wealth, whatever that dollar limit is for you. That's different for everyone. But like, if you want to reach true wealth as your own business owner, you have to be able to take risks. And there will come a time in your business, I'm telling you guys, there will come a time in your business, whether it's Amazon or whatever business you want to start, go franchise a restaurant, anything. There will be a time, multiple times probably, if you're in it long enough, where you will have to take a very serious financial risk. And sometimes it pays off and boom, you skyrocket to that next level. And sometimes it doesn't pay off and you come crashing back down to earth. that is part of being a business owner. That's why, guys, the business owners make the big bucks. Like, that's why the owner of the company is making, millions or billions of dollars. If you're like, Zuckerberg or Bezos or Elon Musk, right? That's why they're worth billions and billions. They are the ones that are taking all the risk. You as an employee, if you're working at 9 to 5 and you're just an employee at the company, you're not taking any risks. So yeah, they're going to pay you a $72,000 salary. You might think you're worth a lot more than that. You're not to them. They're the ones taking all the risk. They're the ones writing paychecks. They're the ones making all the big high-level decisions. So if you want to be at that level, you got to be someone who takes risks. You have to be someone who takes risks. If you're not the type that's like, this is scary, I can't do this. It's like, okay, fine. You're just going to be average as a business owner. And like, that's the hard truth, guys. If you're someone who can't stomach taking risks, you'll just be average. You'll never truly get to like that super level of wealth that I think most entrepreneurs have at the back of their mind. I saw a quote that really stood out to me as far as a perspective on buying, like, let's say a used car versus a really nice car, or having something working or not working. It's from Jonathan Clements, and he said, I'm quoting him, "Today I own a 2013 Honda CR-V. It won't draw any looks of admiration, but unlike the cars I drove in my 20s, I'm fully confident it'll get me from A to B. The CR-V may not be a source of happiness, but I'm pretty sure it won't be a source of unhappiness. And in my mind, that's a more valuable trait." Pause quote for some thoughts here. Very, very insightful comment. Buying a used 2013 Honda CR-V, is that going to make you super happy? Probably not. Let's be honest. Unless you're coming from like a 1985, then you're like, sweet, this is awesome. But for most of us, if I were to go downgrade or, and buy a 2013, is this going to make me happy? No. But is it going to make me unhappy? Probably not. If it gets me from A to B and does its thing and is like reliable for the most part, right? It's like, it's doing its job. I'm not unhappy. Yeah, it's not a Ferrari, but like, I'm fine, right? That is more important. Or he says, that's a more valuable trait. Measuring something by the unhappiness associated with it, not the happiness. So to end the quote here, think of it this way. The unhappiness associated with going from working to not working. And when I say working, I mean functioning, okay? So the unhappiness associated from going from functioning or working to not functioning or not working will likely be greater. The unhappiness will likely be greater than the happiness associated with going from working or functioning to working or functioning great. Here's an example. A functioning bathroom will make your family far happier if you didn't have a functioning bathroom. A functioning bathroom will make your family far happier. A luxury bathroom will soon barely be noticed. We need to unpack this a little bit more because again, this is such a profound concept. And I think it can totally change mindsets. The unhappiness of going from working to not working, meaning like if you have a bathroom, right? Think about your bathroom at home and it's functioning. The toilet's working, the sinks are working, the shower's working, everything's working. If it goes from working to not working, the toilet doesn't flush and the sink's broken, the shower doesn't work, you can't wash your hands, you can't shower, and you can't poop, you're going to go unhappy very quick, right? And you're going to go to it at a very high level. Like you're going to be very upset, right? If you can't do any of those things in your bathroom. But then on the flip side, the increase in happiness of like having a functioning bathroom, like, oh, I got a bathroom. It's not it's not the nicest thing in the world, but like it works. Toilet works, sink works, shower works. Cool. I can use it every day. No issues. Going from that to like a luxury bathroom where you're like, ooh, it's a really nice tub, a really nice sink, a really nice shower. That happiness increase will soon barely be noticed. Cause again, it's just like buying a nice car. Like it wears off. That wears off. So it's like, we need to be focused more, measuring our level of happiness and then also considering the alternative level of unhappiness. So if you're the type that's like, hey, I dread going to my job every day. I dread getting up on Mondays. I hate my boss. I hate my coworkers. I don't like what I do. Stressed out about work, stressed out about your job. And you think that like, oh, I make good money, so I'm just going to buy a BMW and that's going to solve my problems. I'm sure you've already realized by now if you're in this situation that it doesn't solve your problems. It doesn't solve your happiness issues. Or like, oh, I know people too are like, well, my job sucks and I hate my life day to day, but like, I get to go on a really nice 2-week vacation to the Bahamas every year. Is that worth it? Because that happiness wears off too. Like as soon as you get on the plane and get home, it's like, boom, back in the grind. So it's like, I feel like there'd be a lot more happiness in the world if we stopped trading, money or whatever, right? For nice things and nice experiences at the expense of our day-to-day happiness of driving to a job that we hate. Again, this was just kind of something on my mind recently. And I struggle with this too still as being a full-time entrepreneur, thinking about like, am I spending my finances truly where it is making a difference with my happiness or unhappiness? Or am I just getting sucked into like, oh, that's going to make me happy, or that's going to relieve my stress, or whatever it is. So hopefully this episode provide a little bit of mindset, maybe insight. Again, it wasn't meant to be like super like a financial recommendation episode, but more just like to sit back and ponder and think, especially for you guys that are on the edge of like, I'm not happy. Should I buy a really nice car and be happy, or should I start my own business? And is that ultimately going to lead me to the life of the happiness I truly want? So again, hopefully that kind of provides a little bit of insight there. Once again, guys, I'm Andy. You're listening to Selling on Amazon with Andy Isom. See you in the next episode.